Limited 6 stars are, on average, the strongest operators in Arknights, and in this video, I'll try my best to rank them all in a tier list. Now before I start, I want to say that I do think that all of these characters are at least pretty solid. Some of them might be bad compared to the other limited 6 stars, but in the grand scheme of Arknights, none of them are actually bad. That's why the tier list starts at B tier. Also keep in mind that this is just my opinion, and you shouldn't take this list as fact or anything, but if you disagree with any of my placements, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll be going in order of release, so let's start with the first ever limited operator, Nian. Her kit is really simple, and since I don't really want to spend too much time explaining kits in this video, I'll just summarize and say that she is a tank. Her 2 modules give her more defense or more block, and her skills basically do that too. For what it's worth, she does her job really well, being one of the best pure defenders in the game, and a sway sibling, helping activate Shu's talent. But overall, pretty good character, it's just that more modern lane holders just have more utility. I'll place her in A tier, still a pretty useful operator. Next is W, the original one. Her kit is really interesting actually, and fits her character pretty well. Her S2 lets her plant mines on the ground, and her S3 lets her plant mines on enemies. The mines stun enemies, and while they're stunned they take 18% more physical damage, which is pretty decent if you combo W with other physical damage dealers. But sadly, compared to modern snipers, her damage it just isn't quite there, which is unfortunate because I do like her kit design. Again, not a bad character by any means, but there are better options, so I'll put her in B tier. But in general, I'll just be ranking damage dealers a little more harshly than lane holders just because there are a lot more options for DPS characters. These DPS characters just have more competition and thus more power creep. Rosmontis was actually the best Flinger sniper in the game, but that changed about 6 months ago. She does big physical splash damage, but only to ground enemies because, you know, Flingers can't hit air. But anyway, Rosmontis' S3 places down 2 pieces of equipment which are pretty tanky, have 2 block, and stun enemies on deployment. Her damage also increases, but she can only hit enemies that are blocked. Pretty good, it's just that again, there are better options. B tier. Dusk is a splash caster, and her niche is that she spawns freelings, which are 2 block dragons with high res. As far as splash casters go, Dusk is pretty good, it's just that the class has 2 main weaknesses being short range and high cost. While Dusk's modules do try to fix that, you can only choose 1 module at a time, meaning you can only fix 1 weakness at a time. On top of that, for modern standards, she just doesn't do that much damage, but she does have a cool ability to stall since she can spawn many 2 block dragons quickly, but I don't find that to come up very often. I'll sadly have to put her in B tier as well. Ashe is a marksman sniper, meaning she's an anti-air specialist. I would say she's around the same level as Eyjafjalla, and has an argument for being the best marksman in the game. The problem with Ashe is not her kit, but the fact that a large majority of Arknight stages just aren't super drone heavy, meaning you can get by with other characters that can hit air, but can also do other things. Because of this, I'll place her in low A tier. Skadi the Corrupting Heart, or Sculptor, is a bard supporter, giving massive stat buffs and some healing to allies in her range, even being able to heal allies that are normally unhealable like Reaper guards and some other things like summons. She also has a Seaborn that can extend this range. Overall, a great character, simple kit, her buffs are great, and the healing makes her feel comfy to use. I'll put her in S tier since she doesn't quite raise the ceiling of your account like some of the other characters on this list. Chen the Holungday, or Chalter, is a spread shooter sniper, dealing massive damage to all enemies in her range. That's basically her kit, though she does have some added benefits of saving ammo for your allies with her module. While a lot of people say she fell off, I would disagree and say that she's still as strong as ever, just a bit power crept. She might be the 4th best sniper in the game now, which is kinda crazy, but it's still really good. I just think her value is a bit lower than some of the other characters on this list, so I'll have to just put her in high S tier. Still a great operator though. Nearl the Radiant Knight, or NTR, is a Dreadnought guard who does big true damage to her enemies with her S3. She's great at dealing massive single target damage to enemies, and can also be used as a heli drop character with her S2. You can kinda use either skill to kill bosses as well, depending on how much they move around the map. Overall, amazing character, just a bit niche and won't hard carry your account like some of the other limited operators on this list. Solid S tier. Ling is really hard to compare to these other operators. She's a summoner supporter and spawns dragons, which you can then combine to make bigger dragons with S3. These big dragons are tanky, block 4, and do big damage. You can also have up to 5 summons total, with the bigger dragons counting as 2. This lets her take up 6 deployment slots on her own, and makes it so that she can solo almost every stage in the game. I think that by definition, that makes her broken. Specter the Unchained, or Spalter, is a very unique operator as well, and as a doll keeper, she switches into a substitute after death where she blesses our ears while slowing and dealing arts damage to enemies. Her S2 makes her deal more damage while being unkillable for 20 seconds, after which she switches to substitute mode. So overall, she's a pretty solid lane holder, but on top of that, she also gets incredible value in Abyssal Hunter teams with her Module Y and Talent. I'll rank her a low S tier. Gavial the Invincible, or Gavialter, is a Centurion guard, meaning she's an AoE lane holder. Her kit is fairly simple, with her S2 notably pulling enemies in a bit, and her S3 increasing her block count to 5. Overall, a very comfy character to use since many stages spawn waves of smaller enemies, though that being said, she doesn't raise your ceiling very much, but also feels like she does fit in with the other S tier operators. I'll rank her low S as well. Texas the Omertosa, or Texalter, is one of the units of all time. As someone that started playing the game during this banner, she gave me permanent brain damage. Her S2 does big single target arts damage, while her S3 does big AoE arts damage, alongside a stun and respectable single target damage on top of that. Pair this with her being a fast redeploy executor specialist, and you get a cherry bomb on a pea shooter cooldown. She's just the ultimate failsafe with her S3. See an enemy that's about to leak, just put Texas down, stun them so they can't move, and no leak. She's also a really solid boss killer with her S2. Very easy broken tier, and I would definitely recommend her if you want your life to become a lot easier in this game. Chongyue, from what I've read, seems pretty underrated. The only male limited 6-star on global at the moment, Chongyue is a fighter guard like Mountain. You simply activate his skill 5 times, and then he becomes jacked with a funny but pretty applicable range. He does good damage, and I find him especially useful in sway teams with Shu, since Shu's talent allows him to charge his S3 without punching enemies. I just think he's a pretty solid S tier unit overall. Kirin R Yato is our second insane executor specialist. She has some different use cases compared to Texalter, being a worse emergency button, but with an extremely versatile S2 and a more niche but still amazing S3. Her S2 lets her deal massive damage to all ground enemies in the tile in front of her really quickly, meaning you can retreat her almost instantly and get her back up faster. Her S3 can also hit air and goes in a straight line, with the range extending if you hit an enemy with it. While I personally think Texalter is better, they are definitely very close in power level, and you could just bring both in spam heli drops. Very deserving of broken tier alongside Texas. Muelsyse is really interesting and kinda tough to rank. She's a tactician vanguard that can clone your operators, with her S3 having a different effect depending on if you clone a ranged or a melee unit. She's pretty versatile, being able to do a lot of damage by copying a character like Ella, or spawning a tanky water clone by copying Mudrock or Penance. Sometimes having a 3-block Vanguard is actually pretty useful. Though since I'm just giving an overview on characters in this video, I won't get too in depth on how to play her optimally, but I do find that she has a lot of use cases. Her DP generation obviously won't be as strong as a flag bearer like Myrtle, but her versatility and high ceiling warrant an S tier placement. Eyjafjalla the Hvit Aska, or Eyalter, is a wandering medic and essentially specializes in negating elemental damage taken by your operators. This is pretty useful, but I would say her main appeal is just how comfy she is as a medic. She heals a lot, has a massive range, and also has an S3 that makes her range global while increasing her healing output. Her S1 is also pretty useful, being an unlimited duration or AFK skill that boosts her healing. She's not game breaking, but is still a very strong operator and is arguably the best medic in the game. Solid S tier. Virtuosa is a ritualist supporter specializing in dealing elemental damage to enemies. She applies necrosis damage, dealing damage over time, and also inflicting the enfeeble debuff, which reduces enemies' attack by 50%. She's really good at dealing with large waves of enemies with her S3, since it applies necrosis to all enemies in range. Virtuosa is already really valuable on her own, since that kind of elemental damage application is really hard to come by, but she gets much better when paired with another necrosis damage dealer like Nymph. Overall though, I would rank her high S tier, though there are some arguments for her being in broken tier. Shu is maybe the comfiest operator to use in the entire game in my opinion. She's a guardian defender, and her kit just has a ton of utility and things that make your life easier. Her S3 lets her heal allies in skill range by a lot, while also planting fertile rice fields in a plus sign shape around those allies. These rice fields don't expire unless Shu is retreated or defeated, and heal all allies standing on them while also giving them 10% sanctuary, which is just 10% physical and arts damage reduction. On top of that, for the entire skill duration, any enemy standing on top of the rice fields will be teleported back if they try to walk away. This effectively just stuns bosses that are stun immune, since it doesn't really count as a stun. Yeah, she basically forces any enemy in the game to plant rice. Another underrated thing to note is that these rice fields can also heal unhealable allies, and I personally find it really useful that Shu can just keep my Ling dragons or my Wis'adel turrets at full HP. Finally, her talent is insane if you're lucky enough to have 4 Sway siblings, as the talent boosts all your operators' attack by 12% and SP regen by 25% as long as there are 4 Sway siblings in your squad, even if they aren't deployed onto the field. You just charge your broken skills faster. But yeah, I'm done glazing, very easy broken tier. Ella is the second best sniper in the game, and she's a specialist. She does crazy range damage, and being a trap master, her mines also give crazy utility. With her talent, she always deals boosted damage to enemies affected by the mine, and on top of that, the mine itself slows and applies a 35% fragile debuff. This means that all your allies will deal way more damage to the affected enemies, and on top of that, with her S3, Ella does big damage herself, and also recovers 2 of these mines after the skill ends. Also noteworthy is that she can be placed on ground tiles with her module, which can come up in some stages. Because of her high damage and nice utility, she goes straight to broken tier. Wis'adel is literally the most broken roach in any game ever. She's a flinger sniper, but the stuff she flings with her S3 feel like they cover the whole map. Oh, she can also hit air with this skill. On top of that, she spawns a turret on deployment and gives herself camouflage, meaning in some stages you can literally just drop her on top of a group of enemies and blow them all up. Her S3 spawns 2 more turrets, and these turrets, while being great at tanking shots from ranged enemies, also slow enemies and do a respectable amount of damage. This means that even when her skill is down, she's still super useful, so I guess her only weakness is that she can't hit air when her skill is down, yeah, don't expect her to solo stages with only drones, because there are so many of those in the game. But yeah, that's about it. To summarize, insane damage, insane range, insane splash range on skill projectiles, and insane flexibility with her turrets. She can also hard carry you in basically any stage in the game. She gets her own tier on the tier list. Pepe is an Earthshaker guard, which means she does AoE damage in a small range. Her kit is relatively simple, with her S3 dealing big damage and stunning enemies. Each enemy defeated during her skill duration will also restore SP for the next skill, making it somewhat spammable. She also has a talent that buffs all guards in your squad, which can be useful depending on your roster. Overall, a simple and solid lane holder. I would rank her low to mid S tier. Marcille is a splashcaster whose kit is full of funny anime references. Her entire gimmick is that she works off of mana instead of SP, and that kinda limits her potential a lot. Her S3 does do a lot of damage, but since mana can only be recharged off field, you have to retreat her if she runs out of mana. Her S2 being an unlimited duration skill actually makes it the most useful, doing solid AoE damage and getting around the whole mana thing. I do find it to be one of the better AFK skills in the game. I'll rank her high A tier. Definitely the best splash caster in the game, at least. And that's a tier list. I do know that there are 2 more limited operators coming up in the future, but since I don't have a CN account, I haven't really had a chance to test them or anything, so the best I can do is just really give an educated guess based on showcases and what I've read. And I think that they would both be in broken tier. If you want a breakdown of the kits, well, you should watch my other video. Easy self-plug. But yeah, that wraps it up. Again, this is just my opinion, so if you disagree, don't flame me too hard. But I do appreciate all constructive comments discussing what I said in the video.